First off, and this is the bad news, and I think this will not come as a surprise to most of you. Valley Forge had the highest death total. More men died there than the other 7. Old soldiers, old rangers like myself, we still consider it sacred ground. And some of these men buried here had given, as Lincoln later said, the last full measure of devotion, that this country might live. 1,800 men did not survive that winter and spring, out of only 10,000 combat troops. Now with a population of under 3 million, imagine that. The population of the 13 colonies, fewer than 3 million, that's the population of greater Philadelphia. That was the whole country then. They were tangling with Britain for 8 years. Did you know that? And for a country of fewer than 3 million, suffering the loss of 1,800 men, now I can do the math. We have 100 times that population. We had a census not long ago, right? We're over 300 million. That would be like losing 180,000 U.S. Army military personnel in only 4.5 months today. And the overall cost, 25,000 Americans out of that small population. Valley Forge had the highest death total. Now the good news, reason number 2, while the Army was languishing in those hills, in February, what foreign country, what world power jumps in on our side? Oh, he had his hand up, good. What's the answer? Vive la France, oui monsieur. Of the 23 French officers already with the Army, now we call them foreign military advisors nowadays. Who was the most famous Frenchman? Ah, the hero of 2 revolutions, Yves Gilbert, Joseph Mortier, the Marquis de Lafayette. You know, when Lafayette, and this is an aside, this is going to add to our minutes, Clyde. When I go too far, what do I have, 2 minutes? Now see, he'll shut me up in a moment. Lafayette made a triumphant return visit to this country in 1824-25. It was the most magnificent and huge outpouring of emotion. As Lafayette in the 70s came back to this country, he's the first foreigner to hold honorary American citizenship. Congress has only awarded it 5 times. He was number 1. Everywhere Lafayette went, and he visited all the states in the old Union. He visited all the states, and everywhere he went, his aides would take 2 shovelfuls of dirt and put it in what looks like a foot locker. You know, everywhere Lafayette makes a speech, from New Orleans all the way up to Maine, he's like 2 shovelfuls of dirt, you put it in like a foot locker. All right. He's sailing home finally from Virginia at Newport News, and they asked him, what's with all the dirt? He said, it'll truly be said I'm buried on American soil. Have you been to the tomb of Lafayette in Paris? There's always an American flag there 24/7 by the U.S. State Department. He's an American citizen. I knew you wanted to know that. That's an aside. The French alliance, signed by the 72-year-old guy who used to fly kites in electrical storms. Who's that? And then the good news, so you have a high death rate, French alliance, finally, the arrival at Valley Forge of a former German officer, Friedrich Wilhelm. You have to repeat this when I finish. Friedrich Wilhelm Leopold Gerhard Augustin von Steuben, or Steuben as we butcher the pronunciation. Baron Friedrich von Steuben, now please stay with me on this. To me, this is the key. Steuben is the perfect picture of the immigrant that would come to America. Steuben had risen through the ranks in the army of the greatest soldier in the world at that time, Friedrich the Grosse, Frederick the Great, the king of Prussia, not Russia, but old East Germany, you know, where they start the world wars. I can say that, I'm half German. Have you ever heard of the Pennsylvania Dutch? Well, you know that's absurd. They're no more Dutch than I am. They're Pennsylvania Deutsch, they're German. And they settled, many of them, in this area. One of General Washington's top generals here was General Johann Peter Gabriel Muhlenberg. Have you heard of Muhlenberg? Or as we say, Muhlenberg. Okay. General John Peter Muhlenberg's father, Heinrich Muhlenberg, the father of the Lutheran Church, right over here in Trapp, Pennsylvania. But Friedrich von Steuben had served on the staff of Frederick the Great, you know, King of Prussia. There's a monstrosity over here, a mall named... Von Steuben had risen through the ranks of the Prussian army. He was trained in the staff school of Frederick the Great. And then he had a falling out. He got on the wrong side of a few generals. He resigns in disgrace. And for 10 years, Steuben works with some other petty little German princes all through the area. He's looking for work. At the time of the American Revolution, I'm almost done, I'm going somewhere, stay with me on this. Steuben is in disgrace. He's looking for work in the armies of Europe. There's no war going on. He wants to pad his military resume. Steuben goes to Maria Theresa's Austro-Hungarian Empire. We're not interested. He goes up to some of the other kingdoms, to Russia, Catherine the Great. No, we don't need your help. Steuben goes to France. He meets with the war minister, Saint-Germain, or Saint-Germain. And he says, well, there's no war going on here, Steuben, and you have good credentials. Let me introduce you, though, to a fellow named Dr. Benjamin Franklin. Steuben is sent over here as a volunteer. He's not interested in American liberty. He could care less. He just wants to pad his military resume. Steuben arrives at Valley Forge on February 28, 1778. In February, he says, General, I'm here not demanding high rank and high pay like some of these Frenchmen. I'm just here as a volunteer to show you what I could do. He goes out on a tour of inspection in February. He says, I see over 1,000 cabins in mud, not snow. No one froze to death at Valley Forge. That's Disney and Hollywood nonsense. It's an insult to the United States Army. More about that in a second. Steuben goes on a tour of inspection. He sees a sea of mud, not snow. They wanted snow. It's healthier. They couldn't keep their 3/4-mile-long slit latrines covered properly. There's 600 dead horses with all this rotting flesh. He says, I see green smoke belching out of the chimneys of those cabins. Are they burning seasoned timber? No. A constant coughing. Over 1,000 men in field hospitals. He rides back to Washington's office. He says, General, you have nothing to worry about. No European soldier would put up with these conditions. Washington then for 3 straight weeks has him at his dinner and his main staff meetings every afternoon at 2:30, and Washington listens, and he listens. Seems like he's taking notes. Within 6 weeks, Steuben is Inspector General of the United States Army. 2 weeks later, he writes back to Prussia, I have now become an apostle of American liberty. He never goes home. Stays here the remainder of his life. Takes on New York State citizenship. That's why you have a Steuben County, New York, Steubenville, Ohio, Steuben County, Indiana, Steubenville, Michigan. Valley Forge is the birthplace of the United States Army. There wouldn't be a United States of America unless those men toughed it out. If they hadn't toughed it out, I'd be carrying a British passport today. Special place. I don't tire of it. Now, in conclusion, Steuben takes an army using 4 or 5 different systems for organization. I didn't say Valley Forge is the birthplace of the American Army. No, no, no. You're 3 years into it. The birthplace of the American Army is in Lexington Green outside Boston. Lexington and Concord, 1775. Valley Forge is the birthplace, here's the adjective, the United States Army. You don't have 13 state armies marching out of Valley Forge, you have 1. The British don't like that.